the federal government? Why should it not be the same principle with rivers? Unknown to many of those making the noise, they are the ones who will be mostly affected by the act. These are statements credited to, the Minister of Water Resources, Sulaiman Hussaini Adamu. Now, there has been massive outcry, especially from the southern part of the country, against the move by the National Assembly to pass the Water Resources Bill. The executive bill is titled An Act to Establish a Regulatory Framework for the Water Resources Sector in Nigeria, provide for the equitable and sustainable development, management, use, and conservation of Nigeria's surface water and groundwater resources. Lagos, welcome to the Morning Crossfire on a Tuesday. I am Sheriff Quadry. You can watch live right now on Facebook and YouTube as we discuss water resources for the second time in 2 weeks. That's right, because we started this conversation last week. So join the conversation right now on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. If you don't have a mobile app, it's time you got yourself one. Just go to your app stores and download it. If you're on Android platform, go to Google Play Store, download the app from Google Play Store. Nigeria Info FM is what you can search for on Google Play Store. Same for Apple iOS Store if you're on iPhone or Android or Mac, whatever platform that you are. Go download it and enjoy the awesomeness of radio on the go. That's right, Lagos. Let me introduce my guest this morning. She is the Associate Director, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPPA, Aderonke. She joins me via the telephone this morning. Ronke, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Sherry. Good morning, Nigerian.
It's good to have you again this week.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Now, so Sulaiman Hussaini Adamu, Minister of Water Resources, says Water Resources Bill has been turned upside down. Let me quote him. He said, I am so shocked about what people are saying. If I show you that the Water Resources Act 2004 and the new Water Resources Bill, 90% of what is in this act is what is in the bill. The only reason why we are bringing the law is that we have 4 laws under the water sector, which we want to consolidate into one statute. Ronke, the reason why I'm quoting the minister is so that I can put the question to you. These laws, according to the minister, we have 4 in the water sector alone, and we just want to harmonize these laws. What is the big deal? It just shows that nothing has changed so far. Has anything changed?
Thank you, Sheriff. Of course, apparently a lot has changed. Now, you know why this is laughable and I'm chuckling a little bit is how over and over, we have seen the mischief of public office holders. And it makes it look as if people are insane or people are just unnecessarily uptight or being paranoid about what is not existing. But please, just look at it with me. How can half of a country be paranoid? How can we all be wrong at the same time? We are seeing things that have been injected, that have been secretly introduced into this document that is now being called a bill. And then a man is standing against the rest of the world, telling us that somehow we are overreacting. So the math is very simple. If you, one man, or even the government is standing to say, oh, look, there's no big deal, there's nothing new, and then a whole lot, an entire sizable percentage of the population is saying, we are seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are wrong, and those things that are wrong are not, they're not minimal. There are things that are deadly to the overall validity of the document. So this man cannot be right against all of us that are stating out point by point what we are seeing that are wrong with the document.
You know why I'm trying to think through what the Honorable Minister has said? So the process for the enactment of this much talked about law started way back in 2006. It was presented according to report, to stakeholders of all 6 political zones, geopolitical zones. This particular documents, they were moved around each zone, and stakeholders from these zones, they came together and deliberated upon this, according to report of me. I wasn't there, but according to report, this bill was moved around, and there was no objection. Now, the final draft, according to report, was finished in 2008. Then there was a lot. No, there was silence. Then the federal when he came in, the federal executive, the bill was presented to the FEC, and the FEC approved the bill for presentation to the National Assembly in September of 2016. And then, things happened then, and it was stood down by the 8th Assembly. Then when it was reintroduced, then noise started. Are we overreacting? What happened to the stakeholders who went into a meeting to discuss this bill in the first instance? Why are we not talking to these people? Why are we raising alarm now in 2020?
Thank you, Sheriff. I would love to see particulars of those consultations that were done. Now, you know why this is actually really laughable, though tragic. I was just in a meeting during the weekend.
Right.
Yes, last week, in a state of the Federation. And this same state has claimed to organize a stakeholders workshop where the issue of water was going to be discussed. Guess what? The meeting was not only restricted, but it was obviously stage managed.
Oh.
They had people they wanted in attendance. In fact, as I was seeing faces, I said, oh, really, are these the so-called stakeholders? But we found our way in. And then we said, okay, we have presentations to make. We have observations. Can we point to attention? We have information, as a matter of fact, to give. Guess what? We were not even given the microphone.
Oh, my.
That is the country where we operate. So when a politician says to you that we had wide consultations, we have stakeholders, I would really love for them to mention one by one those stakeholders, or just give us a list of those that were present. Let's now look at it and evaluate how much of stakeholders there are, or how objective they could have been. If you claim you went around the nation, looking for opinions, looking for, calling people to look at a document, who are the people that you called? Where were they, and so on. So it really, I'm not usually carried away when government says, oh, stakeholders were consulted. We just want to ask ourselves, give us the particulars of those that were consulted. Now, it was talking about 2004.
Yes.
The National Water Policy found its way into our national life, and that is where we are right now. And since that time, we have, like we say, there's no perfect law anyway, in the world. You keep making amendments.
Very
you keep,
true.
Looking at things and making them better, improving things.
True.
And that is the challenge we have. That is why we are particularly unhappy at this time, because we feel that if already there's a policy and now we are progressing to a place where we want to have a piece of legislation that's actionable. Now, we should see ourselves as improving on those things that were enacted then, or that we had in the past,
right,
not retrogressing. So if now, as at 2006, so how valid is that consultation that was done? We are talking, if it said 2006, now we're in 2020, we're talking about 14 years after. And you want to base a document that you want to enact now and impose on the Nigerian people on, let's even assume, without conceding, that stakeholders' consultations was done then.
Right.
Let's even assume.
Right.
That was 14 years ago. Now you want to enact a law in 2020, and you think that the consultation that you did then will still hold water now. You and I know, Sheriff, that a lot of water has passed under the bridge. The way our lives were in 2006 cannot be said to be the way they are now. I know you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I
so,
do.
I said in the first part of our conversation,
right,
I said in 2010, the United Nations General Assembly declared water a human right. The Honorable Minister, is talking about 2006. That was even before the time that the declaration was done by the United Nations. You see the irony of this. and the fact that we are actually acting as if we are serious.
Ronke,
As a government.
do you think you and other critics of this bill might have been overreacting?
Sorry,
This
not
is
at all.
hold on. This is why I'm asking this
Okay.
question,
Mm,
um, because critics are saying that this bill say um, grants the federal government
mm,
the issue to the permission
yes.
to grant permits, let me put it that way, to
Mm,
anybody or group from
mm,
any part of the country,
mm,
like from any part of the country, to go and possess any water resource without the consent of the local communities. Is
mm,
this what this bill, is it what it says truly?
mm, mm. Okay. Now, let me. I will read a part of this bill to you, and that is clause 2, sub 2. We discussed it the last time. There shall be no private ownership of water. No private ownership of water. So I don't know, whatever they are claiming, we have given consent to anybody to go to, it is false. Now, what we are seeing is the issue of licensing. In other
Right.
words, we are going to have to obtain the permission of the federal government to carry out any activity on anybody or surface of water. And we know what that means. Now, we operate in a federation.
Hmm.
Nigeria right now boasts of 36 solid states, excluding the Federal Capital Territory.
Sure.
So how easy, how practicable, how practical is it for a citizen to go all the way to Abuja
Uh-huh.
to obtain license for whatever they need to do on any body of water? So as a matter of fact, in fact, this is one of the things we keep saying, that our campaign is not for state government to benefit arbitrarily or however.
Mm.
We are just trying to ensure that the sanity and the sanctity of our democracy is upheld.
Right.
So if we have a national life and everybody's roles and duties have been cut out dry for them, there's no need to start usurping duties, to start encroaching, because already we have a lot to do with as a country. So we don't see why the federal government should want to, just amass onto itself things that we know that it definitely cannot even carry out effectively. So what we are concerned about is the effectiveness of the public water sector. So in the analysis, if today state governments, just as we have been saying, also have a right over management of the
Right.
water resources,
Right.
trust me, we are still going to hold them accountable like we have been doing. So we're not canvassing for power or necessary power for everybody. We're just trying to ensure that we have effective public management system.
Right.
And that is what we don't want this document to come and usurp if
So-
it becomes an act.
Talking about the licensing, does it mean that anybody from any part of the country can go to Abuja? Because I'm still trying to put this on the table the way our listener would be able to, understand what we're talking about. Does this bill, provide this opportunity for anybody in Nigeria, anybody from any part? Let's say from part A, you go to Abuja, collect license to go and take over a water body in part C of the country. Is that what the bill is all about?
Thank you very much. Sorry. You see, that question is very germane because the bill is not even clear as to that fact. And that's what, when we keep talking about mischief, we know what we are saying. So, like the question you have asked now, the only provisions I can point you to in this bill that will seem like answers are actually really vague. First of all, let me point you to part 9, which talks about licensing in that bill.
Right.
Clause 98 says, considerations for issue of licenses and general authorization. And in sub 1, it says, subject to the provisions of section 3 and 110 of the Act, the use of water shall be subject to licensing provisions under this part and relevant regulations. So what we are seeing is a situation where the Commission and every other agency, like we spoke about the other time, we even have multiplicity of agencies. That's another confusion. But let's leave that aside for now.
Right.
Let me go to the question you asked. So if this question that you have asked is not even clearly answered in the bill. So all we have seen is a situation where the Commission would have a sort of because of discretionary power, to 98. Another thing that you can now relate it to and say, okay, maybe we can interpret it alongside other section.
Right.
It's not this clause 105, which talks about the conditions of licenses. And that's where you now see that the commission may attach conditions to every general authorization or license, requiring payment of water charges, all of that. So to go to your question, to attempt to ask it as a non-drafter of this bill, I would say that maybe the commission will determine the time, depending on the circumstances of each.
Ronke, you know what we're going to do, Ronke? We're having your line is not clear. We're losing you gradually and gradually. What we're going to do is we're going to call you back. I will hang up right now and we'll call you back immediately to continue this conversation. Lagos, if you're listening to the show, this is the second time we're talking about this. And the reason is that, Lagos is surrounded by water. 70% of Lagos is water. I mean, the state called Lagos, 70% is water. So when you talk about the water resources bill, I know a lot of people have this fear, how this will impact them. I will ask Ronke once we're able to get Ronke back on whether this would affect Lagos. Because according to the federal government, which is not clear it's not clear. I just have to be honest. It's still not clear because they are laying reference to River Benue and River Niger, and they're saying that these rivers are the main rivers, that have tributaries along some states. And those are the major water bodies that they're looking at. But the bill itself talks about the federal government taking ownership of both surface and underground water. So, yeah, the bill is, God help me. Anyways, let's us get Ronke back on the line. Once we are able to get Ronke back on the line, Ronke will be able to shed light to this conversation. So, Lagos, send me your tweet. Let me know what you think about this conversation this morning at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. I don't want to start taking calls right now because once I start, a lot of people will not let us get Ronke back. But right now, we have Ronke back on the line. Very soon, I'll bring her back, and then she can conclude on her thoughts that she was sharing before the line went the way it went. So let's see if we can get Ronke back on the line. Yeah, we're processing Ronke right now. I can see comments up on Facebook and YouTube. We're streaming live, by the way, on those two platforms. Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. Search for us there. Let me know what you think about this conversation. Same goes for YouTube as well. Nigeria Info 99.3. Ronke is back. Ronke, thank you for returning and joining us again.
Thank you.
All right. So you were saying something before the network went to Ori.
Oh, yes. So that was based on the question you asked about, so what happens if a person needs to acquire maybe license for another jurisdiction that is outside of maybe their residence, citizenship, and so on. And I was telling you about how this is another vagueness and mischief that we have seen. If it's not mischief, let's not conclude as mischief. It could also be vagueness. Because at the end of the day, there is nothing like that stated in this bill. I said the best you would see is the conditions for licensing or just for considerations, which is under Part 9. I don't know if you had lost me at that point where I read it out. And that's clause 98, talking about considerations for issues of license.
Okay.
So which is next to nothing, honestly. And then the only thing we now see that we can juxtapose and say, okay, maybe we can assume that these are answers to what clause 98 has provided would now be clause 105.
Right.
Talks about conditions, how the commission may attach conditions to every general authorization or license, requiring payment, and so on. So what we can deduce from that is a situation where the commission, I said if you remember our last discussion from the program, we were talking about the multiplicity of agencies.
Exactly.
But that's aside right now. So let's even assume that right now the commission has this sole power. So it will be a situation where the commission will have discretionary powers that it will now issue license or consider licensing based on the peculiarity or the circumstances of each application. I don't know if you get that.
Yes.
And we are in Nigeria. We know how things work around here. Sometimes the institutions are not as strong as the individuals that operate the institutions. And that's the fear. So what happens if somebody decides to be arbitrary in the exercise of their duties or their function? So a bill like this or a law that will stand, that will be valid, cannot be silent or be vague about these issues that are so germane
Right.
and so fundamental.
Right, indeed. Ronke, let's go to break. We have to take a very short break. When we return, I want to know if you can explain to Lagos how this will affect Lagos people. 70% of Lagos is water, which means that water is very integral to every day-to-day activity here in Lagos. Very, very integral. How would this bill, if passed into law, if it becomes a law, how would it affect people in Lagos, to be specific? If you are just joining us, Lagos, welcome. It's a morning crossfire, and I have Aderonke Ige on the program this morning, and we're discussing something very, very vital, the Water Resources Bill. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
More right after this. .3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome back to the Morning Crossfire Lagos. I'm Sheriff Quadry, and this morning on the show we're talking about the Water Resources Bill. Aderonke Ige is joining me on the show this morning. Aderonke Ige is the Associate Director, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation, Africa, CAPPA. Aderonke, thank you for remaining with us this morning on the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
Now let's dig in about how this affects Lagos. So, the promoters of this bill, Ronke, they have said repeatedly that the law affects only interstate water bodies, and that this policy will only affect about 20 states in Nigeria. That the reactions that are trailing this particular bill, most of the reactions are just unnecessary. In Lagos here, before we went for the break, I did mention that Lagos is 70% water. First and foremost, what is your reaction to what the promoters of the bill has said about the bill, the law only affecting about 20 states alone, principally, about 20 states alone, and that, I mean, how will this affect Lagos?
Okay, thank you. I think my first reaction to all these comments would be really, if it wasn't so tragic, it would be absolutely laughable. Now, the situation is that we're in a federal state, and everyone's duty and responsibilities have been cut out for them. So if they are claiming that it's only going to principally or primarily affect just 20 states,
right,
you might want to ask a question. Why 20 states? Why are they selecting? Why are they particular? Why the attention and unnecessary focus on those people that have this natural resource? You know, when states themselves can manage their water bodies, can have been given statutory powers to the extent to which they can administer frameworks around their water bodies and sources.
right.
And I think we should bear in mind that everything just reeks of mischief from the bill to the comment. Because you might want to ask the question, which river in Nigeria is not interstate? But that's the funny thing. Because, they just say some very bogus things to confuse an ordinary mind. Now, you say it's going to affect just those water bodies that are interstate. Which one? Which particular water can we point to that is not interstate in Nigeria? That's the first question, which is very ironical. Now, you were asking about how it will affect an average Lagosian.
Right.
So, in fact, beyond Lagosian, it will affect every private citizen of Nigeria. That's number one. But for an average Lagosian, to be specific.
Right.
Now, I think I will just take us to the very first issue, yes, which is part of the objectives of this act. If it does become an act of this bill, and we are looking at clause 1 and paragraph M, promoting public-private partnership. If we look beyond the decorative language, basically we are looking at a situation where water is going to be privatized. It's going to be commodified. And now already we know how we are surrounded by water.
Right.
And because public water infrastructure is not working, people are becoming their own government. They are resorting to self-help, to be able to use water. Now, this alternative is going to be even further taken away. So if water is now going to be commodified, privatized, that means that an average Lagosian that is surrounded by water is going to be criminalized for using that water. I don't know if you get, and that is the arbitrary thing that is an underlying situation in this bill. So, last time we spoke on the program, I was talking about one of the issues that we even have, which is the fact that whatever breach of this, if it does become an act, which we hope it doesn't, will not only be a civil offense, but it's also going to be criminal. In which case, you are not going to only fine Nigerians or Lagosians, for instance, who breach the provisions of this law. Let's say I have decided to, because the conditions are too stringent, or I can't even access the federal government, I've decided to just do something with the river body behind my property, for instance. Then I've suddenly breached the provision of the act. And then I'm not only entitled to 50%, or let's say I'm going to be punished, not just by a fine of 50,000 naira, but I also have the option of imprisonment, which we think is absolutely arbitrary, outrageous, and against the spirit of the human rights. So that's one thing. Then the other one is, an average person is going to see total chaos in the public water sector, because even states will not be able to have a say. Now, this is contrary to the Constitution of Nigeria itself. If you look at the Constitution, we're looking at the Land Use Act property as a private citizen, you also pay charges. You pay land use charges. Now, what we are going to see is a situation where you are now going to be billed again for, in law, whoever owns the land owns every resource under the land, especially water. Now, we are not talking about oil. Let's remember, we're not talking about crude oil. We're talking about water. So already I'm paying land use charge. I have paid for my land. I'm paying all these charges. And then somebody is going to be billing me for water that is coming from underground. So that already is a breach of the Land Use Act and a breach of the Constitution itself. And now you may want to, this is really laughable, though very tragic. And that's the challenge we have in Nigeria. These issues that we laugh about, we look at it and we feel like this is a disaster. Remember the chairman of the House Committee was saying that if it will take the House to go and amend the Constitution so that this law can stay, so that this act, if it does become an act, can be functional, can stay, they will have to do that. And you ask yourself, what exactly is the motive? Why the desperation? Which one is easier to do? To go on a frivolous journey of constitutional amendments simply because we want to introduce this against the Nigerian people, or just to simply listen? Let's all come to a round table. Since you can see that there's public outcry, that means there's really something wrong. One man cannot stand against the rest of us and say, oh, we are all hallucinating. We can't all be hallucinating at the same time. Something is obviously wrong. So you can't prefer to amend the constitution of the land, which is the primary law. Remember that the constitution itself says that any law that comes in contradiction to the constitution is null and void to the extent of its contradiction. But here we are having a legislature that does not mind to go and amend the constitution just to be able to accommodate something that people are shouting and crying against. So that tells us that we have to revisit our motives as public office holders and political actors.
Ronke, let's take some thoughts in at this juncture. We have comments that are coming on our YouTube live stream. MSA Professionals said, Madam Ronke, thank you and your organization for helping us to monitor this bill that seeks to further accentuate the suffering of Nigerians. Elderly Southerners understand the wisdom behind the bill. They have taken power but forgot to control water. This water bill we envisioned will lead to restructuring of the Nigerian polity. Once they add water control to their empire, then it will only be a matter of 50 years before take over the whole of the South. That is a conspiracy theory right there from MSA Professionals. We'll take another comment from Oshilaja Benedict on YouTube, and it says surface and underground water ownership to obtain license. Very soon Nigerians will need to take a license for generating their power through their generators. That's Ashilaja Benedict on YouTube. Oh, well, let's go and take some calls in, even though there are comments that are coming on WhatsApp. The number to call is 0700 993 993 993. That is 0700 993 993 993. When you're calling me, please turn off your radio. A lady will speak to you before you get to speak to me. It's not that I'm a big man. I'm not a big man. No, what the lady is just trying to do is just to, get your details and, advise you to turn off your radio. Once she'll do that, then she'll patch you here and I'll be able to speak with you, as I'm about to do with James right now, who is in Yaba. James, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
And good morning, Madam Ronke.
Good morning, Mr. James.
This particular act, please, people should just make sure that this act did not really see the light of a new day.
It's not an act
yet. From my own perspective, how I'm seeing it is, when this bill is passed, meaning just for instance, in Lagos State now, the people that have the power to acquire this water resources, they will take over everything. That is, but there's a secret agenda behind this particular act. That's just my take, please. Thank you.
James, thank you for calling me. Let's drop James' call and talk to the next caller. Hello, good morning to you. Oh, yeah, we lost that. Okay, here we go again. Oh, my word. Yeah, the phone lines can act like that sometimes. All right. Okay, so let's see who we have got here next. Let's try and get Ronke back on the line. Hello, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, sir. This is Ismail on the line.
Welcome, Ismail. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Actually, for the bill, I have two different view about the bill.
Okay.
The first one, because we know that the government always find a way of getting revenue, and and I'm thinking they want just to use the bill to get revenue,
right.
Because we know that we have the fiscal planning law, and this fiscal planning law, before the any erection of any building, they used to request for any development permit.
Okay.
But now, looking at this bill, I'm also looking at it and in the other side. For example, now we have many people that are drilling boreholes, and we know that boreholes is causing a serious problem now, because by the time we are drilling a borehole in one point, it's also disturbing the globe. But we don't see it like that.
Yeah.
Actually, we know that every laws that has been put in place in Nigeria today, it has been abused. We know about that one. But I just want
my guest, right?
Yes, your guest.
Okay.
Exactly. Your guest should view it in the other side.
Okay.
Is it that if the bill is approved or is endorsed, is it that it's going to benefit many people in Nigeria?
Okay. All right, Ismail. Oh, you have. I mean, I love the angle from which you have approached this conversation, which is also part of the arguments put forward by the promoters of the bill, because according to them, the tremor that Abuja experienced the other time, it was because of too much borehole being drilled, and that caused some kind of fault lines in the underground of the landscape of Abuja itself. Let's have Ronke back on the line. So, Ronke, thank you for rejoining us.
Thank you.
The last caller spoke about the benefits of this bill. And one of the things he said is because, I mean, if we start regulating borehole, we know that government has failed. States and federal, they have both failed in terms of providing water, potable water for the average citizen. And a lot of people have gone into, making that happen for themselves by drilling borehole. And, he was asking the question as to maybe this will protect the country as a whole from some natural disaster, such as earthquake on the long run, if we have to regulate how people drill borehole. Is that supposed to be a benefit from this bill?
Sorry, thank you. I wasn't on the line when that person made the comment, but it's a very genuine comment.
Yes, it
I
is.
won't even dispute that. No, but the challenge, whatever glory is coming from that should not be attached to this bill. They have nothing to do together. And this is another tool that, please pardon my language, an oppressor. And really, there's nothing to even be pardoned here, because that's what we have seen, the nature of government. When a government wants to divide and rule a people, they throw things in our corners that make us start scrambling to look at, okay, maybe and maybe not. Now, this is the case. If government at all wants to legislate on water at this point, it should be such legislation that will strengthen the public water sector in a way that we make it effective. That person is just hot on the street. Now, because our organization also works on climate justice, we are seeing climate change,
right.
We are seeing environmental degradation, and so on. So these are some of the issues that we tackle on a daily basis. So a serious-minded government, the way to support and to ensure that society works is to make sure that public infrastructure works. So let's assume that public water was working. Everybody can get water from good sources from the government. There won't be need, or there will be minimal need, let me put it that way, to go and source for alternative water. And what is what we were expecting? Because not today, we have made quite a number of recommendations to government on how to strengthen the public water infrastructure, on how it can work. We have several publications. We have met with them on several occasions, but you can always see from the body language and the responses that their agenda, so they are not even ready to make it work. Instead, they will introduce things that would also now five Nigerians that are trying to help themselves. So that person has not spoken anything far from the truth. But I want us to be careful. We cannot attach that. We can color that as a benefit of this bill. This bill is not beneficial in any way. If they are looking for ways to make things work, they have a number of recommendations and they even know what to do. But this one is total mischief.
Right.
What the commenter said is not a benefit of this bill. Is another issue entirely that is subject to entirely different interpretation.
Listen, okay, we'll take another call right now, but after we're done with that call, I have a question concerning the involvement of the private sector in this bill. Because I've gone through the bill and I found that there is a space, maybe I'm wrong, but there's a space for private sector through the establishment of the Nigeria Water Resources Regulatory Commission in the part 4 of that bill. Ronke, what is funny? What is funny? What is funny?
I'm just chuckling.
The part 4 of that bill talks about the establishment of an independent regulatory body to be known as the Nigeria Water Resources Regulatory Commission. Now, this commission, according to the bill, will be charged with the responsibility for the regulation of water resources in Nigeria. Now, promoters of this bill are saying that, look, we should be happy that an independent body would be involved in all of this, because this independent body will now, look into going into the business of, running water works, introduction of something like, prepaid meter billing for water and other, efficiency devices. And this can only be done when private sector, is involved. Ronke, why are we not excited about this part of the bill? Why?
Okay. So are we still going on the break, or we should just go on?
Let's go on. Let's just go on.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to remember that clause that you just made reference to, but it's also laughable. So, when we're looking at the commission, we said, number one, if you look at that clause, the responsibilities, detailed functions of that commission are totally vague. They are not even stated. Now, this is, you were asking me while I was laughing, and honestly, I wish it wasn't tragic. Then it would be totally laughable. So, the situation is what we have seen over the time. We have seen this kind of romance that goes on between the government and the private sector.
Okay.
We are not enemies to the private sector. In fact, the private sector we have seen situations where they have plugged in, have done things that are fantastic, that are good for the people. However, Sheriff, we have to always remember that the sole purpose of private organization, private establishment, in other words, corporations, is profit making.
Right.
No, there's no private sector player that is here to just laugh and play and to help people and to do charity and to go home and sleep. No, never. The best you will see is where they will say, we have corporate social responsibility, we want to do so and so for the people, or people from whom you have benefited $1 million, you just cut out 1,000 naira and do something for them and say, yes, we have helped your situation. We are not faulting them. They are here to do profit and to make money. So when we see alliances of government and the private sector, we need to watch closely because somebody needs to be watching. Somebody needs to say what is in it for the Nigerian people beyond the gains of the private sector and beyond the overbloated ego of the public sector. What is in it? How does it affect the Nigerian people? It's not new. We have seen instances where government will deliberately not finance what needs to be financed. Government would deliberately judge responsibilities and say, you see, the public infrastructure is collapsing. Let's quickly go and beg for the help of the private. And then they bring them in, and then it begins to work initially. And then when money is now being made, you see all sorts of funny activities again. It's not as effective as it used to be anymore. The people are now being overcharged and so on. We see it every day.
Right.
So just name it. Any public infrastructure in Nigeria that is almost private.
Let's speak with Emmanuel, who is in Ogun State, quickly. Emmanuel, hi, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
God bless you.
You too.
And God bless your speaker. No, Mr. Sheriff.
Yes, please.
No, if that bill is allowed to say true, I tell you, you will see influx of elders in the southern part of this country. Hello? Hello?
I'm with you, Emmanuel. We're listening.
Okay, please. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with the north? With the north?
Not exactly.
Okay, thank you. Do you know that Lake Chad is now drying?
Oh yes, of course. Everybody
okay,
knows.
thanks.
Yes.
God bless you. So that's why you see, influx of plan elders in this southern part of the country.
Yeah.
So the aim of that be, let me tell you something. I spent 36 years in the north.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And I think majority of my friends are Fulanis.
Okay.
So I can never be against them.
Okay.
As I speak with you now, I even have a Fulani man with me here as I speak with you.
Oh, brilliant.
So
brilliant.
I'm not against any Fulani man or any other tribe in this country. We are together, and I believe Nigeria is one.
All right.
But at the same time, with the little experience that I've had with these people, if that bill is allowed to say true, I tell you, this country.
You don't think this bill? You don't think this bill is for Nigerians and for the benefit of Nigerians? You are not seeing that.
Let me tell you, Oga Sherif. The argument that the issue of ball, that's not the target. I tell you.
Okay.
The target is to take over body water, and then for them. To feed this cattle. That's the real fact behind the bill. Let me tell you the fact.
Okay, Emmanuel. Thank you for calling me. Appreciate it. Let's speak with Godwin. Hi, Godwin. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Quadry.
Good morning to you.
Yes, Godwin calling from Lusho.
Good to have you. Quickly.
Yes. I don't know how to end my thinking. Looking at the kind of so-called bills that had germinated from the current regime upon the money, a lot of money, taxpayers' money, that are being collected on the so-called for their head and what allowances. But instead of the public, the citizenry, to benefit from their being there, they only to add only for to add to sorrow of what the citizens are being made to face. Hunger, poverty, and all what not. Only again to come this way to bring another hardship.
I am so sorry, Godwin. I have to let you go now. It's quite Godwin. Hello, Godwin. Can you hear me, Godwin? Godwin, are you there? Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to have to let Godwin go right now. It's quite noisy wherever you are, Godwin. I'm afraid we can't continue with that conversation, right? Do try and, hang up and call me back, all right? Do try and hang up and call me back. Okay, so Lagos, let me bring Ronke. Are you still with me?
Hello, Sherry.
Okay, good. Are you with me, Ronke?
Can I surprise the Nigerian people?
Oh, okay.
You know, there's a clause in this bill, that's 104, that talks about emergency powers. You know, we're talking about the works of the commission and how they are even vague and how they can begin to appropriate arbitrary powers. Now, there's a clause 104, paragraph sub 1, paragraph B, which will enable, let me just read it as it is, a person who has a supply of water in excess of his needs for domestic purposes can be directed to reduce the amount is permitted to abstract, or even have his license revoked, or even be punished. Now, you know what is painfully challenging here? You know, we have talked about a situation where, okay, if it were commercial, there are other purposes for which water is being used, and they are currently regulated, and of course, nobody is saying no to that. Now, a private citizen, the commission that is sitting there in Abuja would have the ability to determine that you, Sheriff, are now using more than the normal amount of water you're supposed to use for your domestic use. So maybe the commission somehow knows that you're supposed to have your bath with a bucket of water, and they are now seeing that you're having about 3, and then your life, it's ridiculous. And if you don't read carefully, they are so drafted in ways that you are almost likely to overlook them. But these are very ridiculous provisions. How do you determine that I'm using water in excess for my? You even specify the domestic use, and then you revoke my license because I'm now suddenly cooking with 2 bowls of water another one is that the one that I was telling you about the other time, the 126 clause in that bill that permits entry into the property by any so-called officer of any of these commissions.
As long as the person can identify himself from the
Absolutely. But we know how Nigeria runs. Even now, when a person is being arrested, there's supposed to be a warrant shown to the person. Do we have that working as we speak as a people?
Right.
This is how Nigeria runs, and we are not even making any effort as a government to strengthen the system to ensure that citizens benefit. You see police every now and then. You see other enforcement agents moving in on people and just raiding them. Nobody's producing warrants or anything. And now we are seeing a bill that is following that pattern.
Yeah.
So it's very easy over time for an officer of this commission to just come into your land and say, look, we are from the commission. Who are you to answer, to question them when you don't have an accountable system?
Right.
And then they can carry out any activity on your property. That is in this bill.
Okay. It seems 1 hour is never enough. This is exactly what happened last week, and it's happening again. But I will just let you go because I had to. I mean, you have your day really packed up that you had to just squeeze out an hour for us to talk to you this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, Ronke.
It's good to be here. Thank you so much for the work of enlightenment that you do constantly. I just want to remind Nigerians that this thing is our responsibility, it's our collective responsibility.
Right.
No civil society can do it alone. We are all civil society. Please, let's rise. Let's speak out when we need to, and let's galvanize our power as the people of Nigeria. Bless Nigeria.
Aderonke, thank you for joining us. She is the Associate Director, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa. Lagos, this is how far we're able to go. But how about we try and give out 10,000 Naira this morning on Just a Minute, shall we?
This is Just a Minute on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. What's your name?
I'm Ladi.
Ladi, you want to play Just a Minute?
Yes.
Ladi, what?
Bako.
Ladi Bako, you've won before.
Yes.
I am so sorry you are not qualified to play. Let's try another caller. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
What's your name?
Okay, my name is Caleb.
Khalid.
Yeah, Caleb.
Oh, Caleb.
Yeah.
Okay, Caleb, you want to play Just a Minute?
Yeah, I want to play.
Okay, let's play.
This is Just a Minute.
No, I have not played.
What?
I haven't played.
No, I'm saying I asked you whether you would. I said let's play.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so let's start again. Let's play.
This is
Okay.
Just a Minute.
Your first question is, who is Nigeria's vice president?
Okay, Nigeria's vice president is Professor Yemi Osibanjo.
All right. Nigeria Info will be how many years old this year?
Pass.
Okay. Name 2 stores where you can get Nigeria Info mobile app.
Is Google Store and Play Store.
You're wrong. COVID-19 Heroes airs on Nigeria Info on what day?
It's on Wednesdays.
Okay. The Water Resources Bill was last rejected by the Senate led by who?
Pass.
Okay. My guest this morning was Aderonke, and she represents what organization?
Hi. Pass.
A program, Relationship 360, airs on Nigeria Info on what day?
It's on Saturdays.
Correct. Morning Crossfire starts at what time?
It's from 5 a.m.
Correct. Caleb, you got 4 questions correctly. So, Caleb, you're going to stay on the line. A lady would take this call away from me, and she will get your details, your phone number and your account details. And you listen all through the day until Sandra announces you. If you are the winner, you'll get to know on Hard Facts later today. All right, good. Lagos, that's how far we'll be able to go on the show. Many thanks to my team, Zainab Yakin, Olamide Fadoju, and Babatunde Abdul Salam. I'm Sheriff Quadry. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Let's keep talking on our socials. Sheriff Quadry on Twitter, Sheriff Quadry on Instagram, Sheriff Quadry on LinkedIn. Jimmy Lisu is next on Daily Digest.